Chapter 17, Pax Romana. Adolphe ran full tilt. He imagined the heavy steel of Francois's cutlass striking him in the back. He shot a look over his shoulder for death that he knew was coming. His front foot slid over a snow-slicked root, and he tripped and fell, arms pinwheeling to try to catch his fall. Then he was on his way headfirst over a grade, slipping and falling, rolling and tumbling to a painful halt at the bottom of the gully. When Adolphe opened his eyes, he saw a pair of boots inches away from him. He heard the owner of the boots laughing. Adolphe rolled onto his side and had to cover his eyes from the bright glare of a burning torch as the man knelt beside him and poked a trench dagger's point under his chin. Then rough hands grabbed Adolphe and hauled him to standing. The man with the torch gave him a once-over. "Bind him," he said in Latin. The two men holding him began to yank his arms behind his back, and Adolphe cried out in pain, "Please, please don't hurt me." The Romans laughed. They had heard that phrase a lot over the past few days. So close. He had been so close to capturing Adolphe himself. Raised in the French Catholic practice, Adam Gillet understood Latin well. He watched and listened from the woods as 30 men from Oberon Junius's cohort marched away on a southerly bearing with Adolphe in tow. When the last man in the Roman column had gone, he slid over the embankment into the gully and fell in behind them. He increased his pace until the rear guard was in sight. When the sergeant at the rear looked over his shoulder and saw Adam, he was surprised for a moment. "Hey, pick up your pace, or I'll have you whipped." "Yes, Domine." Adam nodded and fell in, joining the dead centurion's crisp marching order. When he had the opportunity to strike Adolphe, he would take it. Until then, he would bide his time amongst his fellow dead men, enduring with patience, shifting to full throttle action to end the man when he could. Caitlin watched Francois, uncertain how to proceed. His cutlass lay before him on the bell tower's stone floor. He was kneeling, eyes shut tight, hands clasped, gently rocking himself. She heard him speaking low, in an admixture of Arabic and Wolof, and though she understood neither language, she recognized desperate prayer when she heard it. She stepped back and let him be. Whatever he was suffering through had cut him off at the knees. Caitlin walked to the rampart. She shook her head. This was insanity. She figured she had gone round the bend. She was likely in some padded room in a mental hospital, sedated for her own safety. Just as likely, she had taken a fall from her father's old mare and landed on her head. Now she lay in a hospital bed in Kildare, comatose, and approaching death 1 hour at a time. The last 2 years had all been a literal nightmare instead of a figurative one. And the last few days were just a culmination of an insane story her subconscious had built up, imaginary brick by imaginary brick. And all of it was built on the fundamentally ridiculous notion that a war had erupted in Europe entirely by accident. Some Serbian boy had murdered an Austro-Hungarian archduke and his wife, and that had triggered a slow-going Armageddon. Her mind must have decided that was too ridiculous a story to believe, so it conjured up this truly insane final chapter. Maybe when the end of the story came, she would snap out of her slobbering, straight-jacketed mental stupor, or awake from her paralytic coma, and everything would go back to normal. She closed her eyes and prayed that she would open them and find herself in some white hospital, mental or otherwise, instead of a white hell. When she opened them, nothing had changed. She pushed aside her fantasy. She was not dying. She was not insane. It was the world that had died and lost its mind, not her. She was just along for the ride. She leaned Isaiah's shotgun against the battlement and hugged herself for warmth, stamping blood into her feet. She looked at the boots Isaiah had taken from the dead German boy and given to her, and was grateful for the deed. She knew she never would have climbed out of the canal hell in her Adelaides with their damnable heels. Between the shotgun and the boots, Isaiah had proven himself a good friend, perhaps the best she had ever known. She looked out into the night, wondering if he had somehow made an escape too. The wind, that had been gale force at times since the sun set, had calmed. She saw the snow-covered ruins of Vermont and the fields and woodland to the northwest which they had come through. When she first saw the tiny orange globes dancing through the woods, she thought she was witnessing some imaginary will-o'-the-wisps. Then she realized they were torches. "Oh, Christ! Francois, we have to go!" She grabbed the shotgun and ran to his side. "They're coming!" Francois picked up his cutlass and stood. Caitlin pulled him with her to the wall and pointed. "You see, there!" Francois saw the distant torches flickering as they moved through the trees. He watched the lights for a long moment. A shiver of fear shot through Caitlin. "This is the only building standing for a mile in any direction. You're mad if you think they won't come have a look. And if that German boy is leading them, they'll come straight here." Caitlin reached out and touched his forearm. "Francois, I know you want to wait for your friend, and if you want to die in this church, there's nothing I can do to stop it. But I won't be here. I won't sit here for whatever's coming. Please, for mercy's sake, we have to go."